name is Justin Taylor from television's Purest Hope. Please welcome Randy Harrison. Well, here we are. Yeah, that was the clip of you kissing a lot of people. Yeah, that was.
I did a lot of it. I've done a lot of it.
Oh yeah, I usually do. But we'll get to that later. Yeah. Finally, you have a seat of your own. You're not cramped in a tight space. But there's a spotlight.
That's all right. I'm used to that.
And you get your tall glass of water. It's free. So from now on, all I ask of you is to relax.
Okay.
And focus.
I'll do my best.
Okay. Let's start a long, long time ago.
All right.
Maybe 20 or 30 years ago.
Okay.
Your first theatrical experiences.
My first theatrical experience was seeing Peter Pan when I was like 5 years old. My parents had tickets. I wasn't supposed to go, but the babysitter canceled or something, or some story about it. They thought I would be bored, and I loved it. And I wanted to be on stage.
So Peter Pan was your inspiration.
Yeah, it's a little embarrassing, but it's true. And it was actually Sandy Duncan was playing, who did like Wheat Thins commercials in the States, and she did like a lot of bad television. She thought she was playing Peter Pan. Sandy Duncan is my
Sandy Duncan is your inspiration. Were there others in the theater, maybe when you were a bit older, or in film, who you looked up to?
Certainly, yeah, but especially around 13 through the end of high school, I got really involved in playwrights were my major inspiration. Also because playwrights were kind of the only theater artists out of the closet at the time. I read a lot of Tony Kushner. Angels in America came out when I was like 15, and the week after I told my parents I was gay, we all went to New York and watched both parts of the original Angels in America on Broadway. So that was a huge shaping thing for me. Larry Kramer was a big playwright. John Cameron Mitchell was an actor at the time. He hadn't become a director yet, but he ended up doing Hedwig and the Angry Inch and Short Bus. He was an actor at the time. I started reading a lot of plays then, and I fell back in with this thing.
But you were doing theater as early as high school already?
I started doing community theater when I was like 10. And I was doing high school theater, but never professional theater, not until sort of the end of high school. I started doing community theater where I would get a little bit of money, so that was almost professional. But.
So I guess the choice to go and study serious theater, serious drama
I always knew that's what I was going to do.
And where did you do that?
I went to the Cincinnati College Conservatory of Music in Cincinnati. Because I sang and I love music too, so I wanted to make sure I could study both, and it seemed like a good place.
Being a conservatory of music, does it mean that they focus specifically on musicals, or is it very diverse?
It was more focused on musicals than I would have liked it to have been, but because it was conservatory, it was sort of it was the end of my academic education, unfortunately, after high school.
Is there a certain genre of theater or theater school that they subscribe to, like Strasberg or Meisner? Or
No, it was really eclectic. I think the Meisner training I got there was the most effective of the training that was offered there for me at the time. But they did a lot of math work. We did like old Greek stuff. We did everything a little bit too superficially.
So, what is your experience from that time, from that period of time studying?
I think I was very frustrated at that time. I knew I loved music and I knew I loved acting, but after spending 4 years sort of in the chorus of the musicals that didn't really seem important to me, I knew that I wanted to do something else.
So you were biding your time, waiting for...
I was ready to get out, and I was actually thinking, because of that training, if I moved to New York, I would be very stuck doing musical theater. So I was actually contemplating moving to LA right when I graduated, which not many people would have done.
What did you end up doing after graduation?
I ended up moving to New York briefly, and I immediately got Queer as Folk. Like, CCM did a big showcase for agents and managers and casting directors in New York, and I didn't do well compared to many of my classmates, but because I looked very young at the time, a children's agent actually agreed to freelance with me. He wouldn't even sign me exclusively, which was like a little bit of a cut. So I got a children's agent at the age of 21, 22. And he got me an appointment within like the first 2 months I was in New York for a Queer as Folk.
A showcase is something that we don't have here in Israel.
It's like, you know, we graduated, most theater classes graduate about, you know, between 10 and 20 actors, and they put together the shorter the better as far as the casting directors and agents are concerned, but usually about an hour to an hour and a half playlet of just kind of like a cabaret of different scenes, monologues, and songs that try to showcase each actor's strengths so the agents can come and see who these actors are and then decide to work with them or not.
And it's a one-night thing, right?
Yeah, I think we did 2 in one day or 3 in one day or something.
And how was that?
It was torture. It was torture. Because you knew, I was coming from such a small world, and the entire 4 years, the only thing that matters is who's going to sign with the most important agent, which, you know, 10 or however many years down the road, you realize is completely arbitrary as far as the career trajectory that different people had. But at the time, it was like, felt like the only reason that you studied for 4 years and your success or failure depended entirely on who wanted to sign you and who didn't. So it was terrible. And I knew I was doing something that I wasn't entirely comfortable doing. So it was awful.
But it turned out not to be as important.
No, it was not important at all.
Because you got Queer as Folk.
Because I got Queer as Folk.
Okay, so how did the part of Justin Taylor come about?
I knew about the British series, and I even knew about the role of Nathan, which was the role in the British series, and I knew that I would be good for it. And I knew it was something material that I was very comfortable with. And at the time, people were less comfortable. There were plenty of people who would not be willing to play a gay character or to do sexual content. And that was something that I had absolutely no problem with. And I remember reading that they were doing it in the States. And my agent got me an appointment. I got the script for the American version. I remember being amused by it. And they put me on tape in New York. So I didn't actually meet anybody involved. It was like a casting director's assistant, just put me on tape for one scene and read maybe 1 or 2 scenes. And then I guess they saw the tape in LA and they flew me out 2 times over the course of 2 months to meet different people, to audition with different potential Brians, and meet different writers.
This was 1999, 2000, or
2000, yeah.
And did you get a sense of how groundbreaking this show is going to be?
Yeah, I think I thought it would be groundbreaking. I think I thought just for the sexual content, just for having fully rounded, sexualized gay characters as all the major characters on television, it would be a big deal. Yeah, I think I did. I thought it would be good.
So you just graduated from college and you got called to an audition for this, and they flew you over to LA for twice, is that right?
Twice they flew me.
Yeah, and then you got the part.
And then I got the part.
But it wasn't shot in LA.
No, it was shot in Toronto.
In Toronto. So you were playing Pittsburgh, but living in Toronto.
Yeah. At the time, it was much cheaper. The American dollar was better than it is now. And it was much cheaper to shoot in Canada.
I think still a lot of shows are being produced there. I know X-Files was produced there in Vancouver.
Yeah, but that was even before Queer as Folk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how does this work? You know, you're filming Pittsburgh-like locations in Toronto, and the entire thing was shot in the winter. Am I right?
Yeah, I think once we started shooting normal seasons, the second season, we pretty much shot consistently from September to April, which is winter, and it's pretty brutal in Toronto. But I think we started shooting the pilot. We shot the first 3 episodes as if it was a pilot. And we spent almost an entire summer shooting that. So I think we started in mid-June and finished sort of the end of September, the first 3 episodes. And then we started the first series officially.
Did shooting in the winter pose any specific problems?
Yeah, it was really cold. And we shot a lot of exteriors, and a lot of times it wasn't supposed to be as cold, so we couldn't wear things that were appropriate to the weather. Something that a story I always tell is a lot of times they don't want your breath to have this, in the winter it steams out, you can see your breath, so you have to chew on ice cubes before you spoke, so that your breath was as cold as the air. But that would completely numb your tongue, so you couldn't speak properly.